Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste everybody. In this webinar 238, on this day, February 12, 2023, we have a rather general topic. Is spirituality easy? People join spiritual programs, they go to ashrams, they visit temples, they go and meet spiritual teachers, mystics, saints, sages, etc. with great enthusiasm, with great devotion, with great feeling, sentiment, and so on and so forth. And at times, people do feel that all this should bear fruit pretty easily. All this cannot go to waste. That faith is valuable. No one would deny that. However, spirituality is not as easy as we might imagine. Even those who join ashrams, those who go to Himalayas, those who spend years in the proximity of some wonderful guru or spiritual teacher, sometimes feel so frustrated. After so many years, they sometimes think they have not changed at all. They feel very miserable. Therefore, we thought of taking a look at what makes spirituality rather difficult deal. In that context, let's take a look at how our own scriptures talk about it. Before that, the topic we gave had a second line. Is spirituality easy? And the second line was, dreaming of a garden does not create one. Somebody thinks, oh, I will have a nice garden in the backyard of my house. By talking about it enthusiastically and telling friends, just watch, in a year we will have a garden. No garden will come up in the backyard. The man has to work hard or engage a gardener and keep an eye on the gardener. What plants the gardener has brought and how he is tending to the plants and so on. So before I enter some scriptural statements in the context of a beautiful garden which doesn't come by itself, I wish to quote with a little twist John Keats. In English literature, there is a line by John Keats in some context, in some poem. I don't know the background, but it's a much quoted statement. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Now the twist comes here. Somebody said a thing of beauty, a garden in the backyard would be a thing of beauty. And that person and his spouse went about making a beautiful garden in their backyard. But it was so much hard work. All their weekends and all their leisure was gone in taking care of this thing called garden. And this man or this woman knew John Keats' statement. A thing of joy is a thing of beauty is a joy forever. They together changed that sentence of John Keats. They said a thing of beauty is a job forever. More we do, there is more to do. A thing of beauty is joy forever for kids. But for us, a thing of beauty is a job forever, unending job, they said. All right. What is special about spirituality is, I must quote Swami Chinmayananji. He said, spirituality is like how a lady who has all along her life for 55 or 60 years written and signed with her right hand, one morning decides to write and sign with her left hand. Her own signature she has to put, not anybody else's. So it should be easy. But no, the lady has all her life signed with her right hand, and her own signature she cannot write with her left hand so easily. Thus, what is the parallel? What is the comparison here? You and I, for years and years, have been enjoying the world of sense objects. Something nice to eat, something nice to see, something wonderful to hear, something wonderful to smell, something wonderful to feel the touch of. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, they are outside. And spirituality, seriously speaking, involves and needs, requires certain ability to turn inward. That is how, let me quote a mantra from no other scripture than the Kathopanishad. The Kathopanishad makes a rather, saddening statement. Paranchikhani vyatranat swayambhu tasmat parang pashyati na antaratman. The literal meaning of that first half of the mantra is God created all of us extrovert. No wonder, therefore, you and I look for happiness in objects that are outside us and in subtle things like somebody should speak well of us, somebody should praise us, or we must hear that some group of people talked well of us somewhere, though where we were absent. So, the happiness should come to us from outside, gross sense objects or subtle things like appreciation and praise and so on. And the mantra of the Kathopanishad says, God made us so. That's in a certain context. Otherwise, the karma theory says, not just in the many years of this life, but for many lives, we have actually been extrovert. So used to deriving happiness from outer things. So whether God made us like that, or we are responsible for whatever we are, in spite of our best intentions, our mind looks outward. There are some people who go to the temple, and more than having the darshana of a god form there, they carefully notice who else had come, and that remains in their mind. When they come home, they say, did you see Ambujamma had come? Did you say Parashuraman was there? Did you say, did you see? They talk about who else had come to the temple rather than did you see the face of Lord Venkateshwara or the face of Devi Lalitambika was so radiant as we stood with folded hands and took a look at the Devi's face. We felt overjoyed, etc. Very few talk about how the darshan was. They either talk about others who had come or about the priest, what ornaments he was wearing, And in between, he picked up a smartphone, which was an iPhone 14. Did you notice that? And so on. Alas, the tendency to see other things outside and derive some peculiar pleasure is very strong. Let me share with you a little story which I read in a little book written by Arthur Osborne. Arthur Osborne was a devotee of Ramana Maharshi. He was the first editor of The Mountain Path, the magazine of Sri Ramana Ashramam, which is running even today. Arthur Osborne wrote, among other things, a couple of books on Maharshi Ramana. But the one I am referring to is he wrote a little book on Shirdi Sai Baba. In that, he talks about how some devotees of Shirdi Sai Baba asked him once, "Tell us, O Master, who was your Guru? And please, kindly let us know what sadhana did your Guru prescribe for you?" You know, Shirdi Sai Baba kept personal details totally secret. Even today, there is a debate whether he was born of Muslim parents or Hindu parents, and nobody knows where from he came and suddenly appeared in Shirdi, where he was born. Nothing is known. And likewise, he did not let people know who his guru was, what his lineage was, and what sadhana he had performed. But the devotees, I believe, would not spare him. In that little book by Arthur Osborne, he writes, one day Shirdi Sai Baba said to the devotees, "Okay, I will tell you who my guru was, and especially what the sadhana he prescribed to me, what the sadhana was." And he did not really let out any secret, but his answer was more symbolic. He said, "My guru was somebody who was living in a forest, and I was walking through the forest. I met my guru, and the guru caught hold of me and said, I will teach you spirituality." And I was excited. I surrendered to him. And the next thing the guru did was to put me on to practice. What was the sadhana? What was the practice? What was the spiritual abhyasa? Shirdi Sai Baba said, the guru tied a rope to my feet, both my feet, and hung me. He hung me upside down inside a well. So my head was down, my feet were up, and the rope tied to my feet were or was tied to a branch of a tree up further up. I was hanging for a very long time, upside down, looking into the well, some old well. That was the sadhana my guru gave. Devotees understood. Sai Baba is not letting us know the reality, who actually was his guru, what whether it was a mantra japa or some kind of meditation, nothing he's letting us know. But through this story, he has conveyed to us that what is involved in true spirituality, intense spirituality, honest spirituality is our constant effort in turning within. The symbolism of the student Shirdi Sai Baba hanging upside down with his head facing the bottom of a old well is nothing but normally we turn outward. Now, in spirituality, one has to turn inward. And the old well is all the more appropriate because old well very ably represents our mind with lots of old memories. What happened to us in 1996? What happened to us in 1992, then 2013, 2008, 2000, and just yesterday, February 11, 2023. From yesterday to 40 or 50 or 60 years before, whatever had happened, keep coming up. Our mind is an old well. No wonder Sri Ramana Maharshi uses the expression Kupa, well, in Saddarshanam. Kupe yatha gada jale tatantar nimajya buddhya shitaya nitantam pranancha vachancha niyamya chinvan vinde nijaham kritimula rupam. There is a powerful shloka where the self-inquiry, quest for one's true nature, is compared with someone diving into an old well where a gold ornament has fallen and the diver picks it up. Let's not go into those details, but there also in the verse in Sadarshanam, the old well represents a memory, rather a mind laden with memories. You and I get memories, and we need to sort them out. We need to deal with our memories with certain maturity. Without going very long on that science, let me tell you what I mean by maturity. We can neither suppress our memories nor allow our memories to hijack us. We must increasingly learn to look at our memories with certain impartiality, no bias, neither indulging in them nor resisting them. Be Sakshi. Neither go to sleep nor get attached to the memories, but watch them with alertness. A Sakshi does not go to sleep. So, what a powerful metaphor Sri Shirdi Sai Baba shared with his devotees while successfully hiding the actuals. For reasons best known to him, he never divulged the details of his sadhana. He said, my guru made me hang upside down, and after a certain length of time, I got enlightened. I hope everybody is listening to this webinar carefully. I have not advised anybody among you to hang upside down facing a well. Please don't do that tomorrow and say, Swami Chidananji in webinar 238 advised us to hang upside down in a well. I will be dragged to the court by your family. It was a metaphor. All right. It is like swimming against the current. Let me tell you, even we speakers on Upanishads, etc., find it hard to really turn inward. We get certain pleasure in talking about Upanishads. That becomes another attachment. Writing about Upanishads, right? And nowadays, there is so much of other forms of media. Right now, somebody in Mumbai is asking me, Swamiji, you must create 45 seconds videos of your messages on, on videos and then put them on media. You will become very popular. And my mind says, yeah, that's a good idea. If I am not careful, I will stop my japa or meditations. I'll get down to creating those videos, self-projecting, self-promoting, etc. Another extrovertedness. Very hard indeed. Therefore, it is in Bhagavad Gita that Shri Krishna says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatataamapi siddhanam kaschin mam vetti tattvata. Chapter 7. One in millions really is into spirituality. All others touch and go, all others do some lip service. Many people go into spirituality for what J. Krishnamurti would call social respectability. Others are going to this temple and we say in some get together, oh, I was also there. Tuesday evening, I was at the same temple where you to belong to a certain group, maybe out of business interest, maybe out of some other. Was it truly love of God that took you to the temple? Rather difficult to say. Kathopanishad therefore calls spiritual sadhana comparable with razor's edge. When a man is shaving his Beard, if he's a bit careful, chuck, blood will ooze out. Like that, true spirituality involves tremendous care, tremendous caution. Shurasya dhara nishita duratyaya durgam tapatastat kavayo vadanti. It is Kathopanishad again, which says, as though, lovingly to all of us, oh dear, unless you actually let go of your bad conduct, bad habits, bad tendencies, you won't come upon Atmajnana. Na virato duscharitat, na shanto na samahitaha, na shantamanasasyapi. There's a shloka. Na avirataha duscharita. Prajnanenainam apnuyat. You will not come upon self-knowledge. Let's take just the first line. If there are two negatives, if you are not withdrawn from bad ways, you are into wrong things. It need not be smoking or alcohol or gambling at the race course or something. Many of us, apparently very respectable in the society, have certain weaknesses. It is said about Rakesh Junjunwala, who passed away a couple of years ago. Great success in the finance market, but I believe he had a you know great weakness for namkeen, some savories, haldiram seeds, such things he would eat a lot, and maybe he drank also. With due respect to his contribution to creation of wealth, today, there's an airlines also in India which he had started, and I guess he was present when the test flight or the first flight took off. Akasha Airlines was by Junjunwala. So many eminent people, many well-placed people, highly respected in the society, have certain weaknesses. Sometimes they could be some secret affairs, secret matters, not known to the public. In their privacy, they might be into some certain things, as simple as going on eating some salty stuff at odd times, going on having too much of coffee or too much of tea. As simple as that also. That is also duscharita. So unless you leave duscharita, you will not get atmajnana. So two negatives. That means only if you let go of bad habits, you will come upon self-knowledge. Even Ishavasya Upanishad warns us, andam tama pravishanti ye asambhuti mupasate tato bhuya ivate tamo ye sambhutim upasate, etc. It says, that is, I will not go into technicalities there. Some of us, smart ones in the eyes of the society, attend to a certain aspect of our life so well we are appreciated, but we neglect another part. Some others pay attention to that so-called other part but neglect the first part. It could be, for example, somebody is so much into work, neglects family, and another person is so much into family and neglects work. Or a member of parliament is so much active in New Delhi central government's affairs, neglects his constituency. Another member of parliament could be all the time so attached to his own constituency, he doesn't attend meetings which are about the whole country. So part and whole. So Ishavasya Upanishad says, Andam Tama, those who hold the part and neglect the whole go into thick darkness. Those who hold the whole and neglect the part also go into thicker darkness. And then says, those who were able to balance work and life, part and whole, family and society, parents and children. So there are so many, parts that make the whole, and you do justice to all the parts. Even spiritual seekers, suppose they are very busy with public programs, but they don't do sadhana in their privacy. Or then some spiritual seekers are very much into sadhana, but they don't serve the society at all. All these are, matter of balance. Stephen Covey in his Seven Habits talks about P by PC balance. P is how much you produce, and PC is how much time you spend to increase your production capacity. P by PC balance. And it is said those who don't balance P versus PC fail. If you want to succeed eminently, you must produce, serve the society, give them the best products in whatever field you are, and meanwhile work on enhancing your production capacity. Don't be an outdated scientist or attorney or teacher, etc. Continuously increase your PC. So, Ishavasya Upanishad, talking about Sambhuti and Asambhuti, or Vidya and Avidya, talk about how it's extremely difficult. You do this, go into darkness. You do that, go into thicker darkness. And how do we avoid getting into darkness? Great alertness, great balance is to be learnt. Similarly, let me for a change go to a name of Lord Vishnu, which also talks about the difficulty in spiritual practices, the same issue of turning inward. Among the names, 1,000 names of Mahavishnu in Vishnu Sahasranama, there is one Adhokshaja. Lord Vishnu is called Adhokshaja. And the beautiful meaning Adi Shankara gives in his Bhashya on Vishnu Sahasranama goes Adaha, normally down, but here it means inward. Akshaha, literally eyes, Kamalaksha, Ambujaksha, or Traksha, three-eyed Shiva. But here Aksha stands for not just eyes, all the sense organs. So when sense organs, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin, Shrutram Sparsham, Shrutram Chakshu Sparshanancha, Rasana Granamevacha, as Bhagavad Gita chapter 15 says, when the five sense organs, which have a tremendous itching, tremendous strong tendency to go outward, Akshani, Indriyani, Adaha, Pratyak, inwardly, when they are turned, Ja. Ja means Jayate. You will know Lord Vishnu. The knowledge of Mahavishnu is born, Jayate, Ja, when you turn your sense organs inward. Adaha Akshani Yada Vartante Bahirmukhani na Adaha Pratyak Vartante Tada Vishnu Jnanam Jayate. Tasmad Vishnoho Nama Adokshaja. To that effect, Adi Shankara writes. Coming back to Upanishads, in Taittiriya Upanishad, the father, Varuna, advises Bhrigu, look, my son, you want to come upon Brahman, Brahmajnana, tapasa Brahma vijijnasasva, satapo tapyata, tadapastaptva. That comes repeatedly in the Bhrigu the third chapter, third Valli of Taittiriya Upanishad. And again, we learn from Adi Shankara. What is tapas here? Not standing upside down, not standing on one leg with hands raised, repeating some mantra. Rather, in the core spiritual sadhana, it is Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. In the Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, you need to bring Vang Manasam Samadhanam. Indriya, Manas, all of them are to be brought together. Your Indriyas are reading Upanishad, that is, eyes are reading, Mouth is muttering or uttering the mantras, but mind is somewhere else gone. The mind, the sense organs, the organs of action, with total involvement. If you study, that is called tapas. And so does Bhragu. He gets down to intense inquiry and he discovers, as most of you have studied, that Bhraguvalli, he discovers Annam Brahmeti Vyajana and Pranam Brahmeti Vyajana, Mano Brahmeti Vyajana, Vijnanam Brahmeti Vyajana, Anandam Brahmeti Vyajana. He discovers deeper and deeper layers of his own existence and comes upon the final spiritual essence, which is the Atma Tattva. Not easy. You and I would give up at the drop of a hat because we have wrong priorities, false priorities. This world of glitter and glamour, this world of many attractions, sometimes several threats. We want to turn spiritual. Once in a while, the world threatens. Don't you do that. Finish my work first. And so on. So, under the threat of maybe losing a job or losing the goodwill of some friend, losing company, etc., we postpone the alert living. Let me clarify hastily. When we say turning inward, it doesn't mean you go into a cave or for hours you close your door in your house and do not talk to family members, etc. No, no, no. Actually, a little bit of exclusive sadhana is good, but even as you are interacting and transacting with your spouse, with your children, with your boss, with your colleagues, even as you are active, turning inward involves being alert enough to withdraw from irresponsible talking, to withdraw from indecent talking and responses. We have to be constantly on the learning curve. Life is meant for learning. If we go on repeating the same mistakes, especially in the moral domain, as we did 5 years ago, as we did 10 years ago, as we did 15 years ago, meanwhile, we are also attending Vedanta classes. Shiva Shiva. What is the use of those Vedanta classes? We must change our ways. We must identify one or two things to do and one or two things to stop doing. And as they say in the United States, if you do something for 21 days, every night, every day, every afternoon, whatever, they say it becomes a habit. So drop some habit for 21 days. Suppose somebody is smoking, no smoking for 21 days. 22nd day, you may not want to. And somebody has been not exercising at all for 21 days, 45 minutes of exercise gets top priority. Then you change. And such change is hard for most people because the vasanas are too powerful. Priorities are wrong. So Upanishads, the Gita, Vishnu Sahasranama, all of them point to the need for the precise language is a great amount of alertness. The absence of alertness is called pramada. And I believe in Sanat Sujatiya it is said. I have not studied it, but I have seen the quotation from there in works like Viveka Chudamani. Pramado vai mrityuhu. A shloka in Viveka Chudamani quotes Sanat Sujati. Pramado vai mrityuhu ityaha Bhagavan Brahmana Sutta. Brahmaji's son is Sanat Kumara. And Sanat Kumara said, Pramada, a tendency to err, especially commit the same error as you have done before. You have learned, you have burnt your fingers, you have paid a heavy price, you have suffered because of certain errors in your behavior on the plane of thought, word, or deed. Kayena vacha manasa pramadaha bhavadbihi kritaha. It was done. And now again, some temptation, some provocation, some stimulus, and you do the same error again. It can be no less than mrityu, or it can be worse than mrityu. If one dies, the story in a sense is over. One doesn't die. One lives. One pulls on with life, with fear, with agitation, with guilt, with shame, with jealousy. All these negativities, driving or ruling our life is worse than death in a sense, right? Therefore, we must listen to the scriptures. Therefore, friends, without quoting more from here and there, let me tell you, spirituality is not easy. That doesn't mean we must get tense. If we get tense, then it will become even more difficult. We must remain calm. We must recognize the demand of true spirituality. I want to be truly spiritual. That requires that I be careful in my daily practices. Be careful in even thought, words, and then the deed. Because nobody can watch our thoughts, if we think that no one knows, let me indulge in some destructive thoughts, how I would burn the house of some enemy. Or I'll indulge in some pleasurable thought. How, I'll close the door and eat all the samosas at one go. Nothing will happen. Some kind of pleasure or violence come to our mind. And we think that if I just think about them, what's going to happen? Thought is where everything begins. Thought gathers strength. Dhyayato Vishayan Punsaha Sangasteshu Pajayate, etc. We know that. Therefore, we must recognize coolly, calmly, take a deep breath and say to yourself, I cannot go on doing the same wrongs as I did. If I keep doing what I did, I will keep getting what I got all along. I have to change. And thereby, I want to be my best friend. Atmaiva Atmano Mitram. Atmaiva Ripuratmana. Atmaiva Atmano Bandhu. Sixth chapter of Geetā says, doesn't it? So there's nothing to be tense about, nothing to be afraid about. We must not think how many years are left in our life, etc. Some people get agitated. All this I should have picked up when I was a teenager, or at least when I was in my 30s. Now, how sad, I am already 74 and probably I have another 6 years left. I think I'll give up. Like some people walking out of the examination hall, not even attempting one question. I will rewrite the exam, I will take another chance. Right? You know answers to one or two questions, write them. Likewise, you may be 74, you may be 93. How does it matter? In even a few hours that may be left in your life, can you live differently? Can you live remembering God, reflecting on Upanishadic teachings? Can you live in certain moderation? Nobody says don't really eat a jalebi. Eat one jalebi or half a jalebi and say, very delicious, enjoyed. Stop. In whatever, everybody knows where corrections are to be made in his or her life. It's all about, I would repeat that, becoming a true friend of ourselves. Let us be our best friend, and then life will change. Spirituality, therefore, is difficult, but it is possible for every one of us. Let's do it. We must do it. Om Namah Shivaya. Let's see. Some questions may be here. So far, no, but it will come from the YouTube chat box.
Very nice, Swamiji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hari Om Swamiji, Subramanyam.
Hari Om.
Yeah. The term, actually Deepak Chopra coins dynamic stillness. Is it being in the midst of life with surrounded by friends, whatever, all the sensory, perceptions. So achieving that stillness is the same as, being very spiritual.
Right.
Dynamic
stillness. Yeah.
Dynamic stillness.
Probably, I've not read that part of Deepak Chopra's teaching, though I'm familiar with some of the things that he has been saying. Probably by dynamic, he means alert. Otherwise, stillness can mislead many a reader to imagine some kind of sleepiness. When we are asleep, also we are still. If we are sleepy, so say a lecture is going on, we are sleepy. Everybody laughs and we don't move at all. After a few seconds, we nudge the next person. What was the joke about? So we actually are still, but that stillness is a sleepy stillness. Probably he means by dynamic stillness, certain alertness. You completely know what is happening outside and inside. Yeah, I guess dynamic stillness points to what we have been talking of as apramada. Pramada is being error prone. Apramada is being alert. And it's never too late. We might have committed some error for decades. Never mind. Even if we have crossed 62 or 68 or 74, never too late. This new day gives us opportunities to be different.
Yeah.
I hope I answered your question.
Yes, I have one more question, Swamiji.
Please do. Please ask.
It is said dharma, artha, kama, moksha, right?
Correct.
There is a prescribed. So
Correct.
that means applying the dharma to artha and kama will lead you to moksha, right? Or it is compartmentalized like 4 divisions,
No, applying dharma to artha and kama paves the way towards moksha. It gives you greater fitness for studying the moksha shastra.
So
fulfilling,
sorry.
If artha and kama are pursued, which all of us anyhow do, artha and kama are part of life. When we pursue artha and kama, that is security and enjoyment, we pursue throwing dharma to the winds, then the result is guilt, shame, agitation, and our self-esteem goes down, self-worth goes down. Even if somebody comes and praises us, our mind would say, he is praising me. Actually, I don't deserve all that inwardly, Outwardly, we may say thank you, and we may show some happiness. Whereas if we have been bringing artha and kama within the brackets of dharma, as society or people acknowledge our goodness, 2 things happen. One is we accept it, really. Another is we get emboldened to do even more good. It gives us more strength. Praise from others can give us new strength to do more good. They praised us for a little good we had done somewhere. Yeah. And since we are not suffering from guilt or shame, there was no adharma. So when there was no adharma and our conscience is clear, any appreciation, any recognition gives us greater momentum to do more good. So we speed up towards the preparedness for moksha. Actually, what gets moksha is jnana only. For that, the Vedanta study has to be taken up. Somebody said something?
Ranjanji has raised his hand.
Is that so? Oh, yeah, I can see the raised hand. Please go on, Ranjan.
Namaste, Swamiji. Good morning from California. I just wanted to add one more thing, a point that you already said to the earlier question about dynamic stillness. I would like to take an example of Swami Vivekananda. Vivekananda's name itself. It seems he's a good example of dynamic stillness, where he was able to be dynamic and action itself while doing the Vairagya type of thing, like Viveka, discrimination between right and wrong. And that's what the dynamic stillness was. That's what Deepak Chopra means, actually.
Very, very well said. Very well said. By the way, Ranjan, you have started some classes for Saturday evenings, no, Saturday morning in California, right?
Yeah, the Saturday evenings, 6:30 to 7:30 evenings, and then it's 8
Oh, that
o'clock to 9
becomes-
o'clock morning.
Whatever it is, if you have the time now, in 1 minute, you put that link on the chat box.
Oh,
People
sure.
can-
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Ranjan Desai from
Thank you, Namaste.
San Francisco Bay Area has started some Vedanta kind of counseling or sharing wisdom. So if some of you want to take a look at it, please join that link. Using that link, you will perhaps be benefited by it. He has been a long time
Thank you so
student
much.
of Vedanta in the Bay Area, of several of us, the teachers. All right,
Thank you, Swamiji. Namaste.
welcome. Okay.
Swamiji, there is, yeah, 2 messages on chat box.
Ah, I see 2 numbers. Yeah, 2. Someone has said very concise and precise. Thank you, Hari Om, Jagdish. And then need lessons in art of concentration. Yeah. Art of concentration. Yes, that's a really important challenge. Our mind wanders. So one tip I can share with you is start small and grow big. Sit for 5 minutes observing your own breathing. Or if breathing is not, all that preferred in your eyes, sit for 5 minutes and those 5 minutes repeat a mantra and bring your mind back to mantra. So start small and grow big. Similarly, put God first. Suppose you are going by in a car from place A to place B, and there are a few things you want to think about. Just tell yourself, I will think about those issues, but let me first for 5 minutes, repeat some mantra and pay attention to it. Or let me just for 5 minutes observe my own breathing. Then I'll come to some duties, some business responsibilities, etc. So by putting God first, with some spiritual practice first, when you are fresh and fine, you will develop the concentration. Those were the 2, I think, or is there one more?
No, that's all, Swamiji.
That's all, correct. Excellent. So today was a kind of a pep talk, really. So it looks these webinars, many are appreciating this type of tips on sadhana rather than some abstract philosophy. So we will try to pick up more such topics.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Which help even the speaker to.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Swamiji. Nice
Most
class.
welcome.
Lively it was. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Swamiji. Hari Om.
Good
Hari
night
Om.
to all in India and good day
Yeah.
to everybody.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Short and sweet, sir.